Yung ating Tita Pauline versus sa Tita Pao?
Word ba yun, itis?
Yes, ibig sabihin pamamaga.
Okay. It's an actual word.
Pamamaga
Pero wala
ng
tayong
kagandahan.
pamamaga ngayon.
So,
Uy, lately.
Kahit ano.
Yes.
Yes, Tita Pao, kamusta ka na?
Okay naman. Ito, busy tayo sa month of January. And I'm sure a lot of people are also busy, you know. Pero ito na yung last week. Finally, matatapos na rin yung buwan ng Enero. Para sa'yo ba, mabilis o mabagal?
Parang 1 year na Enero.
Diba?
Ang dami nangyayari, yung news cycle natin talagang walang pahinga.
Correct.
Oo. Grabe.
Sabi nila, di ba, pag January, medyo mabagal pa. People are still recovering or, you know, may holiday, hangover.
Wala.
So,
Parang continuation siya ng mga nangyari noong December.
Oo.
Sobrang dami nangyari, November, December, na kailangan mag-spill over sa Enero.
correct.
Sana naman yung Pebrero natin na maging relax. Diba? Para makapag-focus tayo sa arts kasi February is National Arts Month.
Wow!
And of course,
Yeah.
the month of
Of love.
Hindi, revolution. Pero joke lang. Pareho naman. Tama ka rin dyan. But both, sabi nga ni Che Guevara, the true revolutionary is guided by feelings of love.
Ayan.
Alright, itong stories natin now, may feelings of love ba ito? Tingnan natin. The Chinese embassy rejects what it claims are false narratives against Beijing being spread by PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela. In a lengthy statement, embassy spokesperson Xi Jinping said he has returned to Manila after a recent leave in China. Xi said he and Deputy Spokesperson Wei Guo will remain closely engaged with individuals or groups they believe are attacking China. He added, and we quote, "They are free to attack. We are just as free to respond."
Now, before the latest Chinese embassy statement, several senators hit back at Beijing's diplomats. The embassy's Facebook post, they say, crosses the line. Here's that report.
A Facebook post by the Chinese embassy in Manila has drawn strong criticism from Senator Risa Ontiveros. According to Ontiveros, the post appeared to downplay a Senate resolution signed by 15 senators which condemned the Chinese embassy's statements against Philippine government officials.
Ganyan pa rin ang tono nila, bastos, walang paggalang. At gusto pa rin nila sila ang masusunod. Hindi lang sa dagat ng Pilipinas, hindi lang sa social media ng Pilipinas, pati sa Senado ng Pilipinas.
During discussions at the Senate on Tuesday, the possibility was raised of declaring Chinese embassy deputy spokesperson Guo Wei as persona non grata, and even replacing Chinese ambassador to the Philippines Xing Quan. In the end, however, the Senate deferred approval of the resolution. Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano moved for the issue to be brought to a hearing to determine what exactly Philippine Coast Guard Commodore J. Tariela had said that angered China. Among those who did not sign the resolution condemning China's attacks was Alan Peter Cayetano, along with other members of the minority bloc and the Duterte bloc. On Monday, Senators Risa Ontiveros and Rodante Marcoleta engaged in a heated debate.
Napakalaki ng China, napakamayaman ng ekonomiya ng bansa na pwede po natin sigurong maging siguro kakampi sa mga darating pong mga panahon kung maisasantabi po natin ang mga sigalot na namamayani sa ating bansa.
In principle, bakit hindi? Pero pwede ba nating maging kakampi ang China kung ipagpapatuloy niya ang pinaggagawa niya sa ating karagatan, sa internet?
Aside from Marcoleta, Senator Robin Padilla also did not sign the resolution.
Tagal ko na rin sinabi na may budget naman ng Coast Guard, ba't di kayo bumili ng mas malakas na water cannon at gumanti kayo?
That suggestion was answered by PCG Commodore J. Tariela.
Alam natin na ang China ay humahanap ng paraan para maisisi sa atin ang pagtaas ng tensyon sa West Philippine Sea. The moment we use our water cannons, the Chinese Coast Guard may have a justification to increase their aggression to the next level.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines also insisted that it has evidence of China's illegal activities and harassment of Filipinos.
The facts on the ground do not lie. We have videos for this to supplement all our reports. Hence, we leave it up to the Filipino people to be the judge.
Kapatid Mobile Journal Julie Baiza, We're One News.
Kamusta na kaya ang Senate resolution na hindi nagpapanukala na bumili ng mas malaking water cannon pero nagko-condemn sa mga atake ng Chinese diplomats? Tanungin po natin ang ating mobile journal sa Senado, si Merrimon Reyes. Merrimon, okay. Persona non grata, replacement of the Chinese ambassador. Kamusta itong ganun pa rin ba ang dami ng mga nakuhang mga pirma?
Lord Polino, magandang hapon. So far, wala pa kasi nagbabago dito. Kahapon kasi, bago basahin ni Senator Kiko Pangilinan yung nagpakilala talaga ng Senate Resolution number 256 at expressing the sense of the Senate tungkol nga sa mga remark ng Chinese Embassy. Nagmotion kasi si Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano na idaan daw muna ito sa committee hearings para kailangan daw kasing himayin kung ano nga ba yung nasabi or sinabi ni Philippine Coast Guard for the West Philippine Sea spokesperson, Commodore J. Tariela, na ikinagalit ng China. And so far, for Senator Risa Hontiveros, ang sinasabi niya, may urgency raw na mapagbotohan na ito, ma-adapt na ito dahil nga hindi na raw biro yung nangyayari ngayon, yung mga trolls, yung parang may troll networks daw sa China laban sa Pilipinas, kailangan daw protektahan yung dignidad ng pamahalaan ng bansa and kailangan daw masiguro na yung relasyon ng Pilipinas, ng China at iba pang mga karating na bansa mananatiling mapayapa at maayos.
Okay. May tanong ka pa?
Oo. Hindi, Merrimon, kanina nabanggit na nga ni Lord, yung dalawang options na fina-float ng ilang senador, and that is to declare as persona non grata yung deputy spokesperson ng Chinese Embassy or i-replace yung Chinese ambassador. Between the two options, saan ba naglilin ang mga senador?
Si Senator J.V. Harris ito kasi, yung nasabi niya kasi sa speech niya kahapon na kung sakali kung pwedeng mapalitan na ito sa Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines, Jing Quan, na yun na sanang mangyari. Sina SP Soto naman, na sinasabi nila na pag-aralan yung possibility na i-declare na persona non grata ito si Chinese Embassy Deputy Spokesperson Go Wei. Pero sabi kasi dito ni Senator Ping, sa pagkakaalam nila at pagdating daw doon sa mga legalidad, yung tanging Pangulo lang daw ang pwedeng magdeklara sa mga diplomatic officials as persona non grata. So parang walang kapasidad ang Senado. Pero ang sinasabi dito ni na Senator Kiko, parang pag-aaralan nila yung paggawa naman ng resolution tungkol dito.
ChatGPT daw ang kinonsulta ni Senator Ping. Ayos ba? Oo, okay. So, kahapon, paano nag-end itong medyo sagutan ng dalawang senador? No? Yung isa nagtatanggol sa China at sinasabi na kinausap daw siya o inimbitahan daw siya sa bahay ng ambassador. Ano? At sinabi na yung mga problema at pero naloka ako sa water cannon talaga. Oo, yun talagang mga action star na mga solusyon sa buhay. Pero paano pag prime water pala nakuha nila? Delikado yun. Baka mawala na ito. Oo. Pero, okay. Merrimon, ano yung naging ending pala nun? Sorry.
Well, Lord, kahapon kasi dapat ang mangyayari talaga as part of the agenda, magiging for adoption, pagbobotohan na to, pero hindi yun nangyari. Ang nangyari lang for sponsorship. So pagkatapos ng yung motion ni Senator Alan, nagkaroon na ng pagbabasa ulit ng Senate Resolution, nagkaroon na ng sponsorship, yung ilang mga pagsasalita ni na Senator JB, dito na pag-usapan yung possibility kung pwedeng palitan o i-declare as persona non grata yung ilang mga Chinese embassy officials, and then nag-move forward na muna sila doon sa ilan pang mga panukalang batas na isinalang sa plenary session. So ngayon, ang inaantabayanan natin is yung pagsalang nito sa isa sa mga committee hearings, dahil ngayon yung nais ni Senator Alan na makapagpatawag din daw ng mga official from the Department of Foreign Affairs, mga experts na related dito, even more likely from the PCG, kasi nga gustong himayin yung mga remarks daw na kinagalit ng China, and then kung ano yung magiging forward, yung magiging path nila forward or step forward nila, kung okay na ba sa kanila to, i-adapt na ba yung resolution, o kung may iba pa silang gagawin ukol dyan. Pero yun nga, for Senator Risa Hontiveros, ang nakikita niya, urgent, dapat ma-adapt na yung resolution.
Dito ka lang makikita sa Senado natin ang eco-committee discussion pa yung pagkampi sa bansa mo. Tuwing kailan ba nagkakaroon ng national anthem dyan? Tuwing nag-start ang session, di ba?
Tuwing pagsisimula.
O dapat yata i-flash naman yung lyrics sa harap nila para maalala nila kung ano kinakanta nila.
Pa-refresh yung mga minds nila.
Diba?
Na.
Kasi baka nasanay na lang eh.
Hindi, pero Merrimon, si Senator Marcoleta, nabanggit din niya na he had this supposed discussion with DFA Secretary Tess Lazaro. At sabi niya, based on their conversation, yung nakuha niyang impression is the DFA also does not approve doon sa actions ni Mr. Tariela, ni Commodore Tariela, at it seems daw na they're even having difficulty helping them in their work and maintain yung diplomatic relations. Ito ba ay confirmed on the part of DFA? Naglabas din ba sila ng side o ito ay base pa lamang nga sa kwento ni Senator Marcoleta?
So far, Pauline, base pa lang yan dun sa nasabi ng senador. Pero yan din kasi yung isang part nung Senate resolution sana na makapag-establish din ng guidelines na malinaw ang DFA na masisiguro yung responsable paggamit ng lengguwahe, yung komunikasyon, and even yung interaksyon ng mga bansa. Pero for this case, ng bansang China at saka ng Pilipinas. Pero dahil nga naudlot pa yung for adoption nito, baka yan yung isa sa mga matatalakay kung sakaling magkakaroon na ng pagdinig.
Diyos mio. Okay, cambio tayo. Medyo yung BP ng mga tiyuhin natin ay medyo maano, no? Sama na ako dyan. Okay, nagkaroon ng mga balasahan sa mga committee. Okay, pakikwento sa amin to, Merrimon.
Lord Pauline, so far kahapon kinumpleto na sa Senado yung composition ng Senate Committee on Ethics, pero pamumunuan pa rin ito ni Senator J.V. Ejercito. Ito ang chairperson pa rin, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, pero nagkaroon ng konting changes sa mga miyembro, particularly from the minority. Sa majority kasi, sila Senator Risa Ontiveros, Senator Erwin Tulfo, mga miyembro. Sa panig naman ng minority, pinalitan kasi itong sina Senator Bato de la Rosa at Senator Joel Villanueva dahil may tila conflict of interest daw sa mga kinakaharap nitong kaso. So ang pumalit sa kanila si Senator Amy Marcos pati si Senator Rodante Marcoleta.
Okay, si Bato naman kasi issue dito ay seriously pinag-iisipan na rin ng Senado, no, na kung
Yung sweldo.
kung itutuloy pa ba.
Oo, ang sabi dyan ni Senator Ping, maganda raw na pag-aralan na, and yung possibility kasi nagbibilang itong si former Senator Trillanes, parang meron siyang plano na mag-file kapag kapapatak na yung 6 na buwan na absent physically itong si Senator Bato dito mismo sa Senado. So kapag ganun daw, titingnan daw nila, pag-aaralan daw nila, at pwede raw nilang recommendation na maaaring gamitin ng Ethics Committee na to amend the rules para magkaroon na ng legal bounds or consequences itong ginagawa ng senador. Pero so far kasi sa ngayon, wala pa rin daw talagang sanction na maaaring ipataw sa senador.
Pero if ever mangyayari yun, Merrimon, mananatili pa rin naman ba ang yung operations ng office ni Senator Bato de la Rosa? Kumbaga makareceive pa rin sila ng kanilang mga salaries?
Pauline, since nung bago kasi mag-undas break, yung mag-a-adjourn muna dito yung session, hanggang sa pag-process nung budget, doon sa BICAM, pagpapasa nito, hanggang doon even sa minority or opinion or yung tinatawag ng minorya na minority report, and processing, ongoing operation ng staff yung opisina ni Senator Bato. Kaya ang isa pang kine-question, so technically tuloy-tuloy pa rin naman siya whether or not nandito physically yung senador or nasa ibang lugar. Ang isa pang napansin nga lang dito ni SP Soto is pagdating doon sa pagpipirma ng mga dokumento. Yung minority opinion kasi may pirma din doon yung senador, yung ilang mga dokumento. May panukalang batas din na sinalang dito sa sesyon nung Lunes na nakapirma din doon si Senator Bato. So ito yung ilang sa mga technicalities na gustong magkaroon ng paglilinaw from some of the senators kasi physically absent dito pero may ginagawa pa yung kanyang opisina, and then may concerns na extensive na yung absence niya dito sa Senado. So yan yung ilan sa mga maaaring matalakay ng Ethics Committee ngayon kompleto at convened na sila.
Habang nakikita ko yung file footage ni Senator Bato, nagpe-play sa utak ko yung kanyang jingle. Ikakanta ko sa'yo mamaya.
Sige, mamaya.
Parang ano siya, parang kanta siya ng Maskulados. So the tune, parang Malajambo hotdog yung tono. Pero mabilis lang, Merrimon. Kanina nagkaroon ng hearing ang Committee on Public Services led by Senator Raffy Tulfo. Okay, ano-ano yung mga issue na napag-usapan? Yung sa barko na lumubog, napag-usapan yun, ano?
Oo, Lord, yan yung isa sa yung pinakaunang napuntirya ng senador doon sa komite kung saan yung mga kumpanya na may kinalaman nga, meron na pala since 2019 over 32 incidents na merong mga aksidenteng nangyayari, may mga paglubog o mga may disgrasya. So ang tinatanong dito ng senador, ano na ba ang nangyayari dito? Meron na bang held accountable? Ang sinabi naman, meron naman daw mga suspension orders na lalong-lalo sa mga opisyal na may kinalaman dito na hindi raw natugunan yung kanilang mga papel, pero hindi dyan satisfied itong senador. Pagpapaliwanag naman ng PCG at nag-update naman sila, tuloy-tuloy yung kanilang search and rescue operations, even yung remotely operated vehicles nila para raw maligtas, masagip kung meron pa sila makita doon sa mga hinahanap pa na pasahero, magagawa. At ang isang update pa dito ng PCG, meron din daw silang isang marshal na kasama doon sa barko. Kaya magsisilbi rin itong eyewitness sa kung ano nga ba yung nangyari doon off Basilan sa bumagsak nga o lumubog na barko, kung ano nga ba yung nangyari. Pero again, hindi pa kontento dito yung sina Senator Raffy Tulfo sa pagpapaliwanag kasi nakikita niya meron daw hindi natitignan ng maayos, hindi nababantayan yung safety ng mga barko bago ito bumiyahe.
Mary Mon, last na lang to, promise. Yung media ba pwede makicharge doon sa yung EV charger dyan sa Senado?
Nako, kung yun ang hindi pa natin natatry kasi so far sinabi members ng Senado. So may mga accredited kasi dito ng mga media. So technically parang part kami ng sistema ngayon ng
Ayun.
Senate. So more likely mukhang pwede. Pero
Bah.
for the others outside of Senate, mukhang hindi pa maaaring gamitin yung EV charging station dito.
Asking for a friend lang.
Oo
naman.
nga. O, dalhin mo yung kotse ni Lord.
Pangalan ko sa kanya, no?
Hindi ka niya.
Sino kaya supplier niyan? Solar Camo, di ba?
Solar pala.
Taga Batangas kaya yung supplier niyan.
Magandang alamin natin yan, Lord.
Ayan.
Mary Mon, naghihintay ako ng text mo, ha? Text ako kahapon, eh. Okay, may tanong ka ba ba? Kung wala na, thank you for the update. Ang ating mobile journal, Mary Mon Reyes, reporting to us live from the Senate. Then we head on over to Quezon City. Andun ang ating mobile journal, Arles de los Santos, to give us the latest from Sandigan Bayan and the Office of the Ombudsman. Arles, kamusta na ICI ang labo ng...
Hindi.
Ano na nangyari dyan? May nakatakda rong basahan ng sakdal.
Lloyd at Pauline, nako, kalalabas nga lamang ng mga dating engineers ng Bulacan First District Engineering Office na sina Bryce Hernandez, JP Mendoza at RJ Dumasig matapos nga ang kanilang arraignment dito sa Sandigan Bayan para yan sa kaso na graft laban sa kanila kaugnay ng umano'y maanamagyang Ghost Flood Control Project sa Pandi, Bulacan. Pero sila ay naghain ng not guilty plea at idininay nga yung kanilang pagkakasangkot dito sa kaso na isinampa sa kanila. Actually, hindi tumagal na isang oras yung kanilang pananatili dito. Pasado 1:00 ng tanghali, dumating dito for the 1:30 hearing and then ngayon pasadong mga alas 2 mismo, mga alas 2 mismo lumabas na sila dito sa tanggapan ng Sandigan Bayan.
Tanong ka ba, Pao?
Oo, so Arles, pakilinaw lang, ano yung nag-plead sila ng not guilty? Anong project? Anong kaso ito?
Ayan yung Pauline, yung para doon sa 92.8 million pesos na umano'y Ghost Flood Control Project sa Pandi, Bulacan na inihain nga ng Office of the Ombudsman matapos yung pagsasama-sama ng mga report kasama na lamang yung inspection doon na kung saan pronounced daw ito as completed pero wala namang nakitang istruktura doon sa lugar na yon mismo. Ayon doon nga sa reklamo, tila daw mayroong sabotan yung mga opisyal ng Bulacan First District Engineering Office dahilan para mailabas yung 76 billion pesos. So yun na yung budget na nailabas at yun daw yung pinaghati-hatian. So mark as completed, kaya naman kabukod doon sa graft na kaso nga, may malversation case pa sila na dinidinig naman sa 3rd Division ng Sandigan Bayan, yung malversation through falsification of public documents.
Okay, may mga nagtataka siguro, Arles, no? Siguro sa mga yung hindi maalam masyado sa mga legal na usapin. Okay, bakit yung kay Senator Bong Revilla daw, ito rin ba yun? At pinagliban lang para sa, tama ba, Pebrero, 9? Ito rin ba yun yung mangyayari dapat sa kanya?
Ito rin dapat, Lord, yung mangyayari doon kay dating Senador Bong Revilla noong ikalawang beses na pumunta siya dito sa Sandigan Bayan. Pero na-reschedule yan matapos nga yung patong-patong na motion na ipinasa nito ng kanyang counsel, kagaya na lamang ng motion for a reinvestigation, motion to quash, and then yung kanyang pakiusap nga na mailipat doon sa PNP detention facility sa Camp Crame na ngayong araw, January 28, nakatakda naman na matapos yung deadline ng prosekusyon para magkomento dito sa hindi bababa na 7 motion ng kampo ni Revilla. So ngayon, ang natuloy para sa arraignment yung nauna na 3 kapwa-akusado nito ni Revilla. Hindi nakasama dito si Emelita Huat, nauna nang nag-plead ng not guilty sa naunang arraignment dito din sa Sandigan Bayan.
Siguro tanong ng iba, Arles, ay bakit sila nagkaroon ng ganito samantalang pinagliban yung sa senador? Ito ba ay kumbaga may kakaibang posible bang ito ay mabahira ng O bakit ito binigyan ng ganung pagkakataon na mag-ano?
Or nasa diskarte na rin yan nung legal counsel nila?
Actually, Lord at Pauline, matatandaan natin na tinawag ng prosekusyon na delaying tactics daw. Yung patong-patong nga na motion ng kampo ni Revilla noong isinagawa yung nakatakda ng arraignment nito no, ng dating senador. Pero ang giit naman ng kampo ni Revilla, ito daw ay kanyang constitutional right. No? Right pa rin kasi ng akusado na muling ipasilip at umapila at ipanawagan yung pagbabasura ng kaso kaugnay sa kanya. No? Meron din kasing mga kiniklaim na meron daw isang reklamo na hindi pa nila natanggap pero lumabas na agad yung arrest warrant sa kanila. So may mga ganong technicalities itong kaso ni dating Senador Abong Revilla dahilan para payagan nga no, ng Sandigan Bayan na re-schedule yung kanyang arraignment. So hindi pa siya nakakapag-plead kung guilty or not guilty kasi kailangan daw muna na ma-resolve nga yung mga motion na inihain nito.
Oo. Andyan pa ba yung mga nabasahan ng sakdal at from here, saan na ang ano nang mangyayari, ano ang dapat antabayanan siguro ng taong bayan?
Nakaalis na dito, Lord, yung coaster no, ng Quezon City Jail kung saan nga kasama pa rin nila yung mga escort dito. No, mataas pa rin ang seguridad para nga masiguro yung paglabas-pasok dito. No? At kabukod pa nga dyan, maaaring asahan ng publiko na sa mga paparating pang araw, February 9, ayun yung arraignment ni dating Senador Abong Revilla. Maaari aasahan natin doon na naresolve na kung saan nga ba siyang piitan talaga mananatili kasi temporary pa rin hanggang sa ngayon yung sa Quezon City Jail at kung meron nga bang pagbabasehan itong reklamo sa kanila dahilan para ituloy yung kaso o i-dismiss na agad ito no sang-ayon na rin sa mga motion na ipinal ni Revilla. At kabukod pa dyan, ganun din sa iba pang mga kapwa-akusado nito no, sina Bryce Hernandez, sina JP Mendoza, RJ Dumasig, Emelita Huat, gayon din si Cristina Pineda. No? Magkakasama pa rin sila nahaharap dito sa mga paparating pang pagdinig. Pero Lord, nakumpirma kahapon na si dating Senador Bong Revilla ay nananatili na nga daw sa regular na facility no? Or nakahalo na doon sa general population ng Quezon City Jail matapos nga nitong sumailalim sa medical quarantine na bahagi naman ng proseso ng BJMP para sa mga bagong inmates nito.
Ako, interested ako dun sa magiging argument nung defense, ano, if they're pleading not guilty, but nung mga Senate hearings, House hearings, diba, doon natin nakita na umamin naman sila kahit paano na complicit sila, nakatanggap sila ng pera, diba, yung mga pictures pa nga, evidence nung bulks of cash na nakalagay sa table, and nag-apply din itong sila Bryce Hernandez sa WPP, and that entails admitting to a certain degree na complicit ka, but now they're saying they're not guilty to charges of graft.
Pauline, at least yung mga pera na matatandaan nating siniwalat doon sa Quadcom at sa Senate, parang nasa 2022 to 2024 ata yung timeline nung mga pera na yon na i-distribute daw doon sa mga umunoy proponent at mga contractor. No? Pero itong Pandibulacan project ay parang March 2025 pronounced as completed na ito. No? So hindi natin alam kung kasama din ba talaga yung pera doon sa mga ibinigay no? Doon sa lumabas na mga larawan. Pero I think it's also important to note na ito kasing si dating Senador Abong Revilla, may mga larawan na kumalat online na kasama niya sina Henry Alcantara, nandun siya sa ilan sa mga lugar sa Bulacan. But the Cabral files, if we will relate it doon, no, hindi pa rin kasi nakukumpirma to ngayon. And kung tatawagin si Revilla na kasama doon sa mga proponent, kailangan din talaga makita kung kasama ba yon sa ebidensya na nagagamitin nga ng prosekusyon. Kasi ibig sabihin, from the very beginning, meron talagang listahan ng mga proponent para sa mga DPWH projects na to.
Alright. Maraming salamat sa iyong ulat ng ating mobile journal, Arles de los Santos. And it's time to take our first break, and as we do so, we bring you the global headlines from the Associated Press. At magbabalik pa po. Tita Pao at ako, ito po ang Afternoon Delight.
This is AP News Minute. President Trump says a big investigation is underway into the killing of protester and ICU nurse Alex Preddy by federal agents in Minneapolis. Trump commented Tuesday after the White House tried to distance him from remarks by officials who had branded Preddy a domestic terrorist. Thousands of people took to the streets of Serbia's capital against a government crackdown on universities. The gathering Tuesday comes more than a year since nationwide protests began against autocratic President Alexander Vučić. Spain's government says it will grant legal status to hundreds of thousands of immigrants living and working in the country illegally. The measure could benefit between 500,000 and 800,000 people, mainly from Latin America and Africa. And a science-oriented advocacy group moved its doomsday clock to 85 seconds to midnight, saying the Earth is closer than ever to destruction. The group cites threats from nuclear war, climate change, the potential misuse of biotechnology, and artificial intelligence.
This is still Afternoon Delight on One News. Ako po si Gord de Vera.
At ako po si Pauline Verzosa. We're glad you can join us.
All right, onto the news. There's concern that the so-called Nipah virus could enter the Philippines and, naku, baka kumalat pa. Should we be worried at this point? Let's ask our ever-reliable infectious diseases expert, Dr. Ronjin Solante. Doc, welcome back sa Afternoon Delight. Lord de Vera po at si Tita Pauline Verzosa.
Good afternoon, Doc.
Hi, Lord and Pauline. Good afternoon.
Opo. So, Doc, may na-record na Sultan Kudarat at ang sinasabi po ng mga artikulo ay may epidemic potential daw itong Nipah virus. Ano ho ang dapat pangambahan sa statement na yon, sir?
Well, yes, no, there's a possibility na pwedeng kumakalat ang Nipah virus infection because the fact, Lord, no, nagkaganito na tayo noong 2014, it doesn't also mean that we cannot have another outbreak, no? This is a zoonotic type of virus, meaning merong hayop carrying this virus, and that most of the infections are the transmission coming from an infected animal going to the human. That's a bat to human transmission. Or any infected animal from the bat, and then that particular animal will be contaminated, exposing the human being, doon ang source ng infection. So that's a reality. It can happen also in the Philippines, but as of now, I don't think we will be, this is something that we need to panic, or we just need to be aware that there's something, and there's an ongoing outbreak in India.
Opo.
Is this a new mutation, Doc? Itong Nipah virus, as you mentioned, noong 2014, nagkaganito na rin. Pero ito bang bago, mas malakas ba yan? And what are the symptoms that people should know about?
Okay, Pauline, Nipah virus is carried by a particular fruit bat. And some of these fruit bat that are carrying the virus are also common in countries like India, Bangladesh, no? And the first case was reported in Malaysia, no? So there is no mutation of this virus. It's just that people are more exposed to the infection because of like urbanization. No? It's one of the most common cause now of why people are we have a lot of this outbreak. Increase in the population, and then in that manner, there is also disturbance of the animals that are carrying this virus, and then more interaction with the animal carrying the virus with human, and that's why there is now a periodic outbreak of Nipah in this country.
So, halimbawa, Doc, isa sa mga talagang unforgettable images ng panahon ng COVID, ay yung paniki supposedly na nasa soup. Ito, fruit bat ang nagdadala usually ng virus. So, pag may kumain halimbawa nung paniki, nung laman ng paniki, kahit lutuin ng maayos, delikado ho ba yun?
Well, kung fully cooked naman, Lord, walang problema. But one of the most common cause ng infection ito, like, for example, there are animals that can be infected with poop of the paniki, like yung horses, goats, or even pigs, And when these domesticated animals will be infected, that's the route of transmission where it can also affect those who are taking care of these mga domesticated animals.
Pag nakagat.
Oo. So, Doc, what are the symptoms and when does a Nipah virus become fatal?
Okay, the initial symptoms of patients with Nipah virus based on the data is that it's like a flu-like symptoms, Lagnat, sakit sa ulo, sakit sa katawan, And then pakonting ubo-ubo. But this type of virus is really known for its higher fatality, Mataas ang mortality nito, Lord and Pauline. Why? Because there is this virus that has affinity in the brain. So it can cause severe brain inflammation that can also have a higher rate of fatality. And at the same time, the other form of the infection is respiratory. So you can transmit this through coughing or severe coughing without wearing a face mask, and you are within 3 to 4 feet of that individual. So that's the danger of this virus because it can be highly transmissible, especially patients who had symptoms.
O pamamaga ng utak maliban sa yung sa baga, ano. Pero Doc, wala pa rin daw vaccine para dito, although last year daw nag-test na raw yung Oxford, pati naman yung mga Moderna at AstraZeneca. May balita na ho ba kayo tungkol kung ano na development sa mga experiments na yun, sir?
Okay, based on current data, the vaccine is not yet available. They are still in the phase 1 clinical trial. So, kumbaga sa laboratory pa lang ang level na tinitingnan kung ano yung mga antibody response based on the animal na binakunahan, no? But not yet on the phase 2 or phase 3 level of the data. So that's why it's considered, Lord, a high priority pathogen, because if this will be infecting a person, mataas ang mortality, tapos walang bakuna at walang gamot for the treatment. And that's the reason why the WHO considered this a high priority, meaning they encourage scientists or any other entities to come up with vaccine or come up with treatment.
Yung fatality level niya raw, nasa 40 to 70%, sabi ng World Health Organization, Doc. At okay, Doc, yung human-to-human transmission, sa anong paraan po ito, sir?
Okay, so in an event that a human is infected and became symptomatic, no? So ibig sabihin may mga sintomas na siya. The most common mode of transmission is when you are near with that particular person and the person will cough without you having the mask. No, we call that droplet transmission. In some cases, there were also reported airborne transmission. So meaning the organism can be airborne, can last in the air for a longer period of time. And the third one is body fluids. No? So any fluid coming from that body of a person that is infected, and then when you touch it without wearing gloves, and then you touch your mouth, you touch your eyes, then that's where you can also get the infection.
Naku, Dok, parang nakaka-alarm, no? Because it's highly transmissible. Mataas din yung mortality rate. But why should Filipinos not panic at this point? And are there people also na at more risk dito sa Nipah virus na to?
Yes, why we should not panic? Because I think our government is also monitoring, no, the event. And I think there are already measures that when this infection will be, sana hindi naman darating dito, the lessons we learned from COVID, making hospitals and other institutions be prepared for any outbreak or epidemic, that's something that we have learned, and our Department of Health also has made some progress on that. No, paano natin, how we should deal with mga ganitong klaseng mga kasong possible outbreak or epidemic.
Doc, may stupid question po ako. So, habang dumadami kunyari ang mai-infect dito, ay mas malaki rin ang chances na mag-mutate pa siya?
Well, looking at the articles, no, in some of the scientific paper, the Nipah virus, more or less, no, it's not unlike your influenza virus, which is always prone to mutation, or your COVID-19. That's not a stupid question, Lord. That's a very good question. The Nipah virus doesn't have that much ability to mutate. Mutation will only occur if there is really widespread transmission of an infected or of those with the infection.
Buti na lang.
Oo. Doc, let's discuss treatment options naman in the event. Sana naman hindi po, no? Pero kung dumating nga po talaga ito sa Pilipinas at kumalat, are our hospitals ready to treat patients? What would treatment look like considering this involves inflammation in the brain, pati na rin sa respiratory?
May madadaan lang sa Vicks Vaporub, hindi.
Saka paracetamol.
Okay. Yung mga na-admit, no? Like for example, if there is brain involvement, so ang mangyari niyan, they will be closely monitored. They will be, like for example, if there's brain inflammation, kasi ang problema dyan, masisira din yung mga other organs mo, no? Especially the ability to breathe, no? So, nandun naman yung mga mechanical ventilator, nandun din yung mga IV fluids. So, it's purely supportive. You just have to give the most important supportive care and hopefully pray that that person will recover. Pero importante pa rin dito, the early diagnosis, early management will be very crucial for people that are vulnerable, no? Vulnerable population, yung mga matanda, may mga comorbidities or yung mga bata.
May magtatanong pa sana, Doktor, sa diverticulitis at kung nakakahawa daw ito. Pero wala na pong oras. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa oras na binibigay niyo palagi sa amin. Dr. Ron Jean Solante, always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Pauline. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doc.
Alright. Kinakabahan ka ba? Kasi si
Ako
Doc,
medyo
si
kinakabahan
Doc
ako.
Ron Jean kasi, kapag sa interview yan, sa mga first few sentences pa lang niya, magsasabi siya pero hindi kailangan mag-worry.
Ganon.
Ito, ikaw yung nagtanong eh. Bakit hindi tayo dapat mag-worry?
Oo. Hindi,
According
kasi
to your
medyo
medical
ano na rin
degree,
ako.
Pauline Versosa.
Oo nga di ba kala mo naman. Hindi, pero mas okay ng safe ka tsaka praning ka, di ba?
Yes, opo. So, wag pa rin magpakakampante.
Pante.
Alright, another news. The International Criminal Court has set the hearing for the confirmation of charges against the former President Duterte on February 23 to 27, 2026. It's also allowed several drug war victims to participate in the case, and more in this report.
The camp of former President Rodrigo Duterte said he was denied due process after the International Criminal Court declared him fit to stand trial. In a statement, lawyer Nicholas Kaufman expressed disappointment over the decision, arguing that the defense was denied the opportunity to present its own medical evidence. He added that they were not allowed to challenge the findings of medical professionals appointed by ICC judges to assess Duterte's condition. Kaufman stressed that they would appeal the decision. Vice President Sara Duterte, for her part, appeared resigned to the recent ICC ruling.
I think part naman na siya sa process, no? Madugay na nato na siya gihulat. So, ang family, wala pa mi nakadiscuss og statement. We should come out with a statement. Pero, unya na lang, namot siguro istoryahan.
Meanwhile, the ICC has formally authorized the participation of victims in the case against Duterte. In a 15-page decision, the chamber approved victims proven to have direct link to the killings in Davao when Duterte was mayor, and the nationwide killings when he was president. ICC-accredited lawyers Joel Butuyan and Gilbert Andres have been appointed as common legal representatives for the victims. Both Butuyan and Andres have expressed their availability and willingness to participate in the trial. Meantime, Bayan chairperson and human rights lawyer Neri Colmenares told One News The Big Story that he is confident in the strength of the charges filed against the former president.
If you're innocent kasi, you want speedy trial. You don't want to delay it because the longer you delay it, you're in prison. But in this case, they're delaying the trial. So hopefully this is the first step and a trial will ensue.
Colmenares also noted that a trial can proceed as long as at least one charge is officially confirmed. The ICC pre-trial Chamber 1 scheduled the confirmation of charges hearing on February 23.
And now, here is a quick rundown of more stories on One News. President Bongbong Marcos again did not attend a palace event today, his first scheduled public appearance after being diagnosed with diverticulitis. Executive Secretary Ralph Recto led the ceremony in his place and said doctors advised the chief executive to rest for at least a week. Recto assured that there is nothing to worry about and that Mr. Marcos just needs some time off. He also said the president continues to work and is expected to fully recover in the coming weeks. There are photographs, though, of the president when he administered the oath of office of Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. This formalizes Nartates' promotion to the rank of police general, making him a full-fledged PNP chief. Nartates had been serving in an acting capacity since August last year after the dismissal of then PNP chief and now MMDA General Manager Nicolas Torre III. And And technical divers and a remotely operated vehicle are expected to aid search and rescue operations for the missing passengers of MV Trisha Kirsten 3. The vessel carrying 344 people sank in the waters off Basilan on January 26. At least 18 people have been confirmed dead, while 10 remain missing.
Our Southeast Asia's top diplomats will meet today in Cebu City to discuss conflicts in the South China Sea and Myanmar. Essentially subject matter that are not the usual topics for an event like the ASEAN Tourism Forum. And for the details, we have our man in Cebu, Dale Israel. Dale, okay, ano-ano na pag-usapan sa forum na ito, Dale? Are you there, Dale? There.
Yes, magandang hapon, Lord and Pauline. Good afternoon, and more than 5,000 police officers are here, and other law enforcers are now deployed here to ensure the safety and security of the upcoming, or the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Tourism Forum 2026. And last Saturday, this ceremonial send-off for the security forces was held at the Southward Properties in Cebu City, serving as the final readiness to check for all security for participating agencies. Also part of the security contingent are more than 100 members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and 100 personnel from the Philippine Coast Guard and 300 firefighters from the Bureau of Fire Protection. And in addition, more than 400 responders from the Office of Civil Defense and the CDRRMO are also here. Tonight, actually, Lord and Pauline marks the official opening of the ASEAN Tourism Forum, and according to organizers, First Lady Lisa Marcos is expected to arrive in Cebu along with Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco. The opening event will be held at the Mactan Shrine, while most of the meetings and related activities will take place at the New Star Resort here in Cebu City. At least 10 tourism ministers from ASEAN member countries are expected to participate, along with senior government officials and representatives from the ASEAN countries. The ASEAN Tourism Forum plays a crucial role in shaping the region's tourism industry and in advancing shared vision for sustainable tourism across the member states. As the Philippines serves as the current chair for 2026, the country has the opportunity to host and select venues for major ASEAN-related activities and meetings. The hosting of the summit, particularly here in Cebu, is expected to create tourism-related jobs and provide a boost to local businesses and enterprises. Besides the 11 ASEAN member nations, dialogue partners including China, Japan, South Korea, India, Russia, and Australia, and the United States are also represented here in the meetings. Earlier today, 100 delegates participated in the Paglantaw Heritage Tour around Cebu City, which included visits to the Basilica Minore del Santo Niño, Magellan's Cross, the Old Parian District, the National Museum of the Philippines, Cebu, and the Museo Sugbo, a historic building that once served as a horse barracks during the Spanish period. Due to meetings and road closures in downtown Cebu City, classes have been suspended for 3 days here in Cebu City. Back to you, Lord and Lee.
Okay. Buti na lang hindi sila napaaga ng konti at hindi nila inabot yung headlines tukol doon sa sa Binaliw landfill. So it's ngayon ang Cebu City, of course, is showing putting its best foot forward. Best foot forward.
Yan.
Okay. Pero, okay, Dale, so, maliban sa, I'm sure yung naka-streamline yung mga traffic routes nito at yung mga resorts ay punong-puno sila ng mga activities at mga bisita, ganun ba yun?
Ganun, Lord. The tourism has been, last year, tourism was slow, but now the hotels and resorts are full and full capacity. That's because of the Sinulog, and now the ASEAN Tourism Forum also held here in Cebu.
Alright. Ito nakikita natin, Dale. So, ikaw ba nakaka-cover ka ng mga discussion sa loob? Meron bang specific about, alam ko, let's say, yung China ay visa-free, yung mga pasok ng mga citizens sila rito. Pero paano kaya makaka-apekto ng mga recent na sigalot?
Tell us the themes of some of the meetings, Dale.
Yung mga meetings, tomorrow pa yun magsisimula kasi tonight pa yung opening mismo ng ASEAN Tourism Forum. More centered into the tourism aspect or tourism industry here in the region, actually in the Southeast Asian region. And ang sabi may discussions daw yung mga tourism ministers about how to go about with how the tourism in the region will go in the next few years.
Oo. So, punong-puno siguro yung mga Larsans. Ang kapunta ka ng Larsan?
Hindi pa.
Oo. Yung barbecuehan. Oo. Sa Sutokil din. Malamang marami rin magdadala sa kanila doon. Ginugutom na tuloy ako. Salamatan natin ang ating One News Cebu Desk, Dale Israel. Thank you, Dale. And this is still Afternoon Delight on One News. So just need to pause for another break. And we shall be right back. Magandang hapon po muli. Lourdes Vera po kasama si Tita Pauline Versosa. Thank you for staying with us here on Afternoon Delight. At Tita Pawi, kasi ang buong week natin, ang theme natin is You Gotta Try This.
Oh,
Lahat may gata. Ayun. So, ang ginataang langka sa mga paborito kong gulay yan.
Sarap.
At of course, may side dish pa tayo na isda. Galunggong.
Ano meron? Bakit naisipan yung magkaroon ng gata theme for this week?
Ipapaliwanag lang sa iyo ng producer natin.
Oo, sige. Mamaya.
Bakit hindi? Daming gata
So,
sa
ano yung delight nyo nung Monday tsaka Tuesday?
Monday. Ano nga ba yung Monday?
Ginataang
Yes, ginataang bilog dessert. Tapos kahapon, Bicol Express.
Ayun, sarap.
That's so good. Oh, masarap pero maanghang. Pero I regret nothing, absolutely.
Oo naman. Ayan, pag may mga suggestions din yung mga viewers natin kung anong dapat kainin natin or i-feature sa ating Afternoon Delight, send nyo po yan, no? Mga meals na may gata.
Alam mo, mahirap gawin to.
Bakit?
Kapag gumawa ng gata. Kasi para maging malasa siya, yung broth niya dapat ina-establish mo. So parang yung iba gumagamit ng dilis, na may pork fat, etc. etc. Pero ito parang maganda, marami siyang pepper.
Nga, nakikita ko yung paminta. Sige, habang i-enjoy ni Tito Lord ang kanyang delight, let's check some stories on social media. First up, ito po, on the Philippine Star, one headline reads, Doomsday Clock moves closer to midnight.
Bakit?
May ganyan pala, no?
Yan.
Ako, natakot ako.
Bakit?
It moved 4 seconds ba? Parang ganon?
Yes.
From last year?
85. 89 last year. 85 ngayon. Ang Doomsday Clock, parang ano to symbolic, although parang hindi na rin symbolic symbolic countdown siya of how close we are to atomic destruction, nuclear destruction. So nag-start to noong 1947, kakatapos lang 2 years ng World War II, at yung simula ng kainitan na ng Cold War between the Soviet Russia at saka the Western world. So, matindi talaga to, no? Ilang beses na rin, muntik-muntika na, magkabasagan talaga ng mundo.
Oo.
If not for mga tao na mahinahon at hindi trigger happy.
And ang ilan sa members nung nagde-decide nito, mga Nobel Peace Prize winners, tama ba?
May group ng mga atomic scientists na, I forget the name, pero nandoon sa article yan. Pero sana naman. Pero feeling ko hindi bakit
Is that,
kinakabahan?
The accurate ba? No, but it's very telling of the times, di ba? Lalo na maraming instability, global instability. I think that's why ginawa nilang mas closer to midnight or nag-reduce sila ng 4 seconds. Kasi yung nangyayari nga, of course, sa United States and all the superpowers.
Pero
China, Russia.
Tingin ko hindi.
Parang nagkakaroon ng winner take all mindset, parang ganon.
Oo, pero pag nagkapalitan na ng mga nuclear rockets itong mga to, wala, tayo lahat talo. Kasi
Correct.
Nakita niyo naman yung posibleng mangyari kapag kumalat ang radiation. Kita mo yung mga intercontinental ballistic missiles na nakakatawid siya ng kung saan sa mga bansa. At ang mga countries in question are nuclear powers. Iran, North Korea, okay. US, of course, Russia, Venezuela, wala. Tayo, ano ba tayo meron?
Meron ba tayo?
Quitis yata meron tayo. Or baby rocket.
Kawawa naman tayo.
Oo. Basta lang may mga cooler heads ang dapat mag-prevail. Pero itong mga to, itong susunod na topic natin, nako, mga trigger happy itong mga to. May pangalawang death na sa Minnesota pa, of all places. Ito on CNN.com.
Italians furious over deployment of ICE agents to bolster U.S. security at Winter Olympics.
Kaya ngayon nagkaagulo, may confusion sa Italy kasi supposedly may wing itong ICE sa Homeland something, no, na pinapadala para mag-protect sa delegation ng Amerika. Pero kasi hindi maganda yung reverberations kasi dito sa 2 days ago lang, ano, may bagong napatay na naman ang ICE, isang nurse, no, si Alex Petty. At hindi maganda yung naging connotation. At dito rin lumalabas yung increasingly tense relationship ni Donald Trump sa European nations. At kung napanood mo yung speech sa Davos last week, talagang matatawa ka at maluloka ka.
Oo, it also begs the question, bakit ICE agents nga naman yung kasama nila dyan sa Winter Olympics? Sila ba dapat ang designated na sasama pagdating sa mga sporting events?
Oo. Ang term ng isang mayor nga ng Milan pala ay militia. Murdering militia. So parang lumalabas parang militia nga kasi parang armado, pero hindi naman official part ng army.
Correct.
May mga ganyan. Anyway, basta ingat lang sa ICE. Lalo na mga kamag-anak namin dyan sa Amerika. O, galingan nyo pa yung pagsaslang ninyo para hindi kayo mahalata. Do not roll your R's para hindi kayo pagkamalang mga Meksikano.
Ganun ba yun?
Wag kayo sa Costco mamili.
Oo. Yung iba nga suot, nakadikit na yung passport dito. Yung blue passport nila.
Hindi na joke
para
yun.
lang.
Baka posible yun. Ito naman, sa business world.
Okay, dito naman po, Alex Ayala faces a Japanese player in the Philippine Women's Open round of 16. Of course, this is the WTA 125 event. Napaka-historic, no? And congratulations to Alex. So she continues her journey. She's now in the round of 16. And that just means a lot, more Filipino fans will get to watch Alex play live. Kasi yung last match niya, sold out yung tickets. So onti lang yung nakapanood. Ito, at least, para dun sa mga gusto talagang mapanood si Alex, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung kanyang journey dito sa Philippine Women's Open.
Oo. Sana mas maraming makanood para ma-experience yung mga foreigner yung Pinoy cheering style sa tennis.
Paano ba?
Parang football eh.
Ipinte.
Parang football eh. Walang iba yung decorum eh. Oo. Alright.
Okay, still in sports, Team Philippines finished strong at the 13th ASEAN Para Games in Thailand, and it is the best finish so far for our athletes. Para bigyan ng mukha ang balita, Mobile Journal, Denise Valdesancho.
Pinakamaraming medal haul ng Pilipinas sa kasaysayan ang na-achieve sa 13th ASEAN Para Games sa Thailand. Stand out si Dari Bernardo ng Para Chess na siyang most bemedaled para athlete. 6 na ginto ang iuwi niya.
Bali, mas po ngayon yung kalaban, mas preparado po sila ngayon. Kailangan po talaga ng tiyaga. Hanggang dulo talaga yung patibayan na resistensya.
All in all, nanguna sa paghakot ng gintong medalya ang Team Pilipinas Para Athletics na may 16 golds. Ang Para Swimming may 13 golds at 12 naman sa Para Chess. Isa raw sa naging susi ang solid na coaching staff.
Talagang kaming 10 coaches. We have 10 coaches in Philippine Para Athletics. Talagang we always make sure na we always meet together and hindi kami kanya-kanya. Ang maganda ngayon, hindi lang tayo ng medals, no? But yung records speaks from 10 gold to 16. So talagang we thank the Lord God sa binigay niya sa amin.
Sa overall standings, 4th ang Pilipinas with a total of 134 medals, 45 gold, 37 silver at 52 bronze. Malaking pag-angat yan mula sa dating finish ng bansa sa 2023 Cambodia Games at 5th place. Sulit ang pagpapadala ng pinakamalaking delegasyon ng bansa sa ASEAN Para Games, 323 delegates, kasama ang 212 para-athletes.
Definitely, I am elated and I'm happy ako na our team has performed very well. I mean, nakatama ng puso, when I speak to those that have been successful, of course, how nice it is. I can't see their smiles, but I can definitely feel their happiness.
Mga kapatid, Mobile Journal Denise Valdesancho po hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Alright, binabati po natin ang lahat ng nanonood sa Afternoon Delight via live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Binabati po na lahat, pera lang ang mga traidor sa bayan. Nasigurado ako hindi naman nanonood ngayon.
Oo.
At kung nanonood sila, mayroon akong gustong ipakita sa inyo, bahagi po ng aking kamay, pero huwag na lang.
Bumati na lang tayo.
Yes.
Okay, ito, si Let There Be Light. Sabi niya, ang next delight dapat natin ay ginataang tuna belly.
O sabi ni Marion Laja, meron tayo fake na RPG. Oy, meron, hindi yun fake. Ginamit nga sa ambush eh. Marlon Manalo, magandang hapon, Let There Be Light. O siya yung nagsabi ng ginataang tuna belly. John Ek, marami tayong keyboard warriors at trolls. Yan ang superpower natin, di ba? Pa-launch pa lang yung nuclear rocket ng kabilang bansa. Tinotroll na natin. Ay, pangit. Ganyan.
Ito, sabi ni M. Ladia, Sawadee-Kap, watching you while on a bus from Joaquin, tama ba yun?
Yes,
to
oh.
Bangkok. Sabi niya, ganda ng Vietnamese na katabi mo ah. Uy, Vietnamese talaga ako. Alam mo ba yun?
Hindi nga.
Yung lola ko, Vietnamese.
Ganun ba?
Pure. Oo.
Kaya pala.
So, 1/4 ako. Kasi half yung daddy ko. Vietnamese. Hindi naman. Yung yung apelido niya.
Morgan, pangalan niya Morgan Triman. Hindi si Tita Denise ang kasama ko ngayon, si Tita Pauline Versosa. Nakatutok siya while watching another channel featuring movie Babae at Baril. Kayo pala ata, may isang kanta kami ron. Bayad yun. Alright.
Okay, and that will do it for us here on Afternoon Delight this last Wednesday of the month. Thank you so much for watching. Ako po si Pauline Versosa.
Bukas kasama pa rin natin ang Tita Pao natin. Bukas ulit, 12:00 punto. Ako po si Lourdes Vera, kapatid. We are one news all sides all the time. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.